Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inspiring Life Journeys, where we talk with everyday folks on their journeys of life from the time they grew up to the time their adult life, the lessons they have learned, the experiences they've had. And today, I can't wait to introduce to you to our guest. But before I do that, we're just going to have a short intro to see what all the show's all about. Okay, I'm going to bring our guest. Hi, Cinda. Welcome to
Hi.
today's show. Thank you for being here and so glad to have you. Yeah, so let me introduce you to Cinda. Cinda, I'm just going to read your bio so that I don't mess anything up. But I've known Cinda for, wow, quite a few years now. We've met in
Yeah, it
different.
has been a while.
Yeah, I think we met in, gosh, I believe it was the first time in Napo that we met, if I don't recall it right. And then, of course, we belong to some of the other circles around here. So it's great to have you here. But let me tell you about Cinda. Cinda is a trained counselor, a professional certified clinical hypnotherapist, an affirmations expert, a published author who uses hypnosis, counseling, and complementary techniques to help clients improve their lives by making desired changes in thoughts and behaviors. Since she opened her practice in 2008, she has continued her training and certification with courses in weight management, emotional freedom technique, handwriting analysis, smoking cessation, and just a whole bunch more, which I'm going to let Cinda talk about it when she tells you all about what she's doing right now. She maintains her ongoing membership with the American Hypnosis Association. She brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to her practice. She uses her gifts, wisdom, training, and life experience in a heartfelt manner, helping people to make desired changes in their habits and behaviors. Cinda, welcome. And we've had some conversations, and I know you've got plenty to share and really help people, realize what you do and how you can help them. But before we go there, our show is all about a life journey. So I believe that your journey begins right from the time you are young, and that's how you get shaped and molded to who you are today. So could you tell us a little bit about your childhood growing up, how it was, your family, how that molded you to step into adulthood and later on in the adult life.
Well, I don't like to dwell on my childhood because it wasn't great. Um, my parents were alcoholics. My mother was actually manic depressive. So she was treating herself with alcohol because she was never diagnosed until she was in her probably 60s. So my house wasn't really a very happy place. My
Mhm.
parents were mostly concerned about were we going to get enough to drink and were the kids going to be in the way? Were they going to need stuff? How could they not be bothered by us, which was kind of tough. They were both teachers, so they were around kids all day. So by the time they got home, they really, didn't really want to be around kids.
Mm.
I was
Mhm.
never allowed to have kids over because, someone might find out our secret. And that, of course, was shameful. So we just kind of, lived our little quiet life alone. And I mean, it wasn't all bad. I mean, we did travel, which was
Mhm.
great. My parents took a group of students to Durham, England when I was 16, which was wonderful, wonderful trip. But, when we got home, I wasn't allowed to invite anyone over because it would interfere with their drinking. So as I grew up, I really wanted to figure out how to help other people who might be in a similar situation. So I thought, oh, I'll be a child psychologist. Well, as you may know, we don't always get to be our first love. So I ended up becoming a legal secretary instead of a child psychologist.
Mhm.
And then I had 3 kids, and life kind of happened. But when my youngest was a senior in high school, I thought, oh, this is my chance. I can go back to school. So I did go back to school. I did a 2-year paraprofessional counseling program, which was great. It gave me a lot of skills that I use with my clients now. And then I wanted another way to help people, so I became a hypnotherapist. And what I love about hypnotherapy is that it's a way of helping people, but quicker than a lot of other ways.
Mm.
Psychology, a psychologist, a psychiatrist could take months, years to, really get to the bottom of a problem, really, deal with it very, very deeply. I don't do that.
Mhm.
I say, okay, what's your problem? What's your goal? And we go from problem to goal as quickly as we can. Now, are there times when the other is better? Absolutely. And I'm not saying anything against psychology, but for smoking cessation, weight management, fear of flying, insomnia, things like that can really impact your life. I think it's really important to not take forever to deal with it. So, how I kind of like to look at my upbringing and how that affected what I ended up doing as an adult is I really felt like I wasn't listened to, like I
Mm.
wasn't heard.
Mhm.
So, one of the things that I do for my clients is I listen to them. And that's really valuable to me as a therapist to be able to do that for them. And sometimes I find that it isn't even their problem isn't even what they come in to get help with. Like I had one woman who came in for weight management, but as we started talking, she broke down and told me that she just lost her mother, her 2 adult children and husbands and children were living with her in a
Mm.
2,000 square foot house, and she had not an inch of space to herself. And, she was just completely overwhelmed. Weight was not her biggest issue,
Right.
but,
Mhm.
you know, a someone who might not be able to listen that closely might not have really gotten to the bottom of what was going on. So that's one of the things I really like to do for people. I had a client who came to see me for a completely unrelated issue, and turns out he was married, and he and his wife had been having problems, but we never talked about that. But after about 3 sessions, he said, I just want to let you know my marriage is so much better since I came to see you. And I was like, really? He said, yeah, I'm using all the skills that you've given me, and it's helping me in my relation with my wife. So I
Mm.
thought that was really interesting. So he was listening differently to his wife as I was listening to him. So that's kind of how I think my upbringing shaped where how I ended up being a hypnotherapist.
Mhm. Yeah, I it's you mentioned something about kids not being heard, and when they're growing up. I know there are a lot of young adults or even kids who can relate to that, because sometimes adults, we get so tied up in our work, in our world, that we don't really realize what the kids need as much.
Right.
Even just from experience, there are some times when we had to be alone on our own world, not mingling around, but things happen there, but you grow and learn and grow from it. And I love that you wanted to overcome that, and you wanted to be able to help people and listen to them. So That's a great way of leading into what you are doing right now.
Mm-hmm.
And and you know, not withholding anything, that you know, you're open and available for people to just listen wherever that takes them to. Like you said, it may
Yeah.
not be just the situation that they're looking at. So I know you are, you know, some of the techniques that you use are, you're big in affirmations. You know, we've talked about it a while too. What is the power of affirmations? Could you give our readers, listeners, you know, everybody may not
That happens
know.
to be the title of my book.
Okay, yeah, we could talk about that too.
The new power in affirmations, because I already had the old power in affirmations.
Okay,
Now we have the
great.
new power in
Okay.
affirmations. And basically what it is a a journal where you write your affirmations, and then you also write what you're grateful for.
Hmm.
Because people who are grateful are happier, we've found. So I encourage my clients to read their affirmations first thing in the morning and write them last thing at night. Writing involves another part of your brain so that all parts of your brain are working on the same goals. Why first thing in the morning and last thing at night? Because you have access to your subconscious mind for 30 minutes in the morning and 30 minutes at night. Now that's what I was taught in hypnotherapy school. And so that's, you know, how I work with my clients. I encourage them to be very positive in the morning. Don't watch bad TV at night, negative TV at night. You know, wind down and think positive before you fall asleep. And then I heard that the three most important times of day for interacting with your child are first thing in the morning when they wake up, the 15 minutes after they get home from school, and the
Hmm.
15 minutes before they go to bed at night. So that kind of reinforces that 30-minute plan where you really focus on making those times matter. So,
Yes.
because this is basically the basis for all hypnotherapy. I mean, it comes down to this one sentence. What you think about is what comes to be.
Hmm.
So, what I do is help you think about what you want to have in your life, what you want to be, what you want to uh, move toward, as opposed to um, don't think about the elephant, right?
Mm-hmm.
If someone tells you not to think about the elephant, that's all you're going to think about.
Right.
But what I suggest is let's come up with some affirmations for you. And then you focus on those affirmations. No two people have the same affirmations. Some
Okay.
people might have one affirmation that's the same as one other person, but you don't ever have all three or four affirmations the same. I get a good night's sleep every night can be a common affirmation because a lot of people have problems with sleeping. But if you switch your thinking
Mm-hmm.
from, I can't sleep, I'm a terrible sleeper, I'll never fall asleep, to, I get a good night's sleep every night, you're going to change what you're looking for, what your focus is. So that's the power of affirmations. It helps you to become what you want to be. It's that
Mm-hmm.
simple.
Right. Now, does your journal, do you write your own affirmations, or do you have like some examples of affirmations? How does that work?
At the bottom of each page is a sample
Oh,
affirmations,
it is. Okay.
right? But with my clients, we come up with their affirmations as part of their session.
Right. Right.
And I do, in the beginning of the book, I talk about affirmations and the importance of affirmations and how to create them.
Mm-hmm.
It's very simple. You start with an I am, or I can, or you know, a positive I statement. Do
Mm-hmm.
not use the word not. Do not use the word no. always end with a positive word. That's what you want to be. So, that's really about it. Those are really all the rules. So it's pretty simple.
That's great. Ending with a positive tone and a positive thought in your mind
Right.
makes a
Right.
big difference, right?
In
Yeah.
fact, some people say, well, this kind of sounds like praying. Well, in a way, it kind of is, because you're saying your positive intention, which is kind of what prayer is.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And I like that you have the affirmations and the gratitude, because I know gratitude plays a big role in your life when you're grateful for everything. Some people say write down 10 great things that you're grateful for in the morning, but even if you just write down a couple things every day, and it's interesting when you go back and look at those, isn't it?
Yeah. I like to have people do it at night.
Okay.
Because then when they go to sleep, they're in a more positive frame of mind. And what if you're doing it in the morning? I mean, you could be grateful for a great good night's sleep, or grateful for what you're looking forward to that day. But at the end of the day, you can look back and kind of reflect on, this good thing happened, this good thing happened, this good thing happened.
That's a great point.
To the two bad things that happened.
Yeah, that's a great point. And I think a lot of times we tend to, at least my personal experience, we tend to miss the little things which are really big things, right?
Yeah.
In your life that happens throughout the day.
Yes, that's a good point.
Yeah. So we talked about you helping the weight management, smoking cessation. You also work with kids, don't you?
I do.
Mhm.
Pretty much, I'd like to start around 11 or 12, because at 11 or 12, they really understand about the conscious mind, the subconscious mind. Before 8, they don't really have a conscious mind. They just have a mind that's wide open. It's just there. And then about age 8, we start dividing our brain into the conscious mind and the subconscious, so that kids can be more aware of what's going on. And they're a little more able to understand the concept of talking to themselves and telling themselves positive things, and which is really important. So I like working with kids starting at about 11.
Okay. That's interesting at that age, where you said they're aware of things that are happening. I didn't realize it was that young in age.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then I believe you also talked about one thing which really interests me is handwriting analysis. That really intrigues me, because I hadn't heard that portion of it about you. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, the thing about handwriting analysis is everybody writes just a little differently. We all got trained the same, with the letters on the board. But whether or not you close your loops, whether or not you're above the line, whether or not, one of the things I do is ask my clients to fill out a blank page. What would you like? And the only prompt I give them is, what would you like to do in hypnotherapy? And how they write that paragraph is really interesting. If the paragraph is this big and the letters are all really teeny tiny, something's going on. If they take up the whole page, margin to margin, and don't leave any margins. So that kind of thing. Do they do circles over their eyes, or just a dot? I mean, everything means a little bit. I don't really use it that much in my practice, but it's just kind of a nice thing to have, that I can kind of look at how people are writing and see if that gives me any clues. One technique that I really like is emotional freedom technique, or tapping.
Okay.
That's come to popularity recently. And Nick Ortner is the current guru of it. And he has a website, the tapping, I think it's called the Tapping Solution. And tapping involves tapping with your two fingers on the upper body meridians. And it's, very simple. Anyone can do it. There are people who that's their business, teaching tapping, but I just include it in my hypnotherapy if people want to learn how to do it. And you just come up with a sentence that talks about what it is you want to change. Now, in tapping, it's the one time in hypnotherapy that we focus on the negative.
Mm.
And an interesting story, Nick Ortner, this guy I was talking about,
Uh-huh.
once asked Louise Hay, who was the guru of self-help back in the 70s and 80s, why do we tap on the negative? And her response was, in order to clean the kitchen, you have to find the dirt,
Oh.
which I just thought was so cute. And,
Yeah.
there's something to be said for that. So the point with tapping is that, well, let's say we were talking about dirt, for example, okay? If you were tapping on my dirty house, I hate my dirty house, my dirty house, I hate my dirty house, I have a dirty house, okay? What that would do is it would take away the emotion involved with your dirty house. So you have a dirty house, okay? Clean it or hire someone to clean it,
Mm-hmm.
But if you were upset about your dirty house and you were needing to tap on it, you would be doing that because it was upsetting to you.
Mm-hmm.
But once you've tapped on it, it takes the emotion away. Because some people can be upset about a dirty house and some people won't be upset about a dirty house,
Mm-hmm.
It just depends. But if it's bothering you, we can take the emotion away from it so you can live your life without having to worry about your dirty house, which isn't really a thing to tap on, but that was just an example.
Yeah, just an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
How long are you supposed to do that every time? Or how many times a day do you supposed to do that?
Oh, tapping?
Uh-huh.
Oh, like once a day
Once a day. Okay.
or 3 or 4 times a week. I mean, it just depends. I mean,
Okay.
you really shouldn't have to do it all that much. I had one experience that you could relate to. I was trying to cut down on the amount of carbs I was eating. So, speaking of weight management,
Uh-huh.
so I tapped on, even though I love these carbs, even though I love these carbs, even though I love these carbs, even though I love these carbs. And then I went to a luncheon that we go to once a month, and I saw the carbs and I went, those are disgusting. Who would possibly want to eat them? The rolls, which were perfectly round and toasty and brown, I thought they were rocks. They were not. They were not anything I would ever want to
You'd
eat.
want to eat.
No, no. And potatoes, the potatoes didn't even look interesting to eat. I mean, it was really funny. And that was fine for that day. The next day, I was perfectly fine eating carbs. So it would have been better if I would have kept doing that.
Doing the tapping. Yeah, I've heard about the tapping, but I didn't really know. So thanks for enlightening us on that. As
Yeah,
to
it's really, if you want, I can send you the recipe. It's really easy.
okay,
They call
awesome,
it the
awesome.
recipe, which is kind of funny.
Okay, that's great. Is there any other type of I don't know if you call it modality or what you do? You do a lot of sports performance.
For sports performance and test anxiety, I do a similar thing. I
Mm,
have the client imagine that they're doing the event, experiencing the event from either when they wake up in the morning or the night before, so that they practice it over and over in their mind and it becomes not a big deal. And they practice it as though they were being successful. They did a study with pitchers, baseball pitchers, and one set of pitchers took a ball and went out and threw it to a catcher. The other set of subjects practiced it in their mind. And the ones who practiced it in their mind did better in the game than the ones who had actually practiced. So, and I use that also, that's for sports, but then also for performance. Like I've helped people who were going for their piano adjudication. And I had them imagine it in their mind every morning before they got out of bed, so that it was very routine for them. And for one client, I actually had her go to the place where she was going to be performing and go into the auditorium and actually see if she could practice. And it so happened that the night she went, there was a janitor there who let her in. So she actually got to practice.
Oh, nice.
And when it came the day of the adjudication, it was pouring rain. And she would have gotten totally lost if she hadn't been there before. So sometimes, you know, it really can be helpful.
Yeah. Mind is powerful, right?
The mind is so powerful. And, you know, we build things up in our mind to be negative when in fact we don't need to. And if we practice them over and over, then, you know, it's not a big deal.
Yeah. You're a wealth of knowledge, Cinda. Is there any portion of it that I have left out which you would like to specifically talk about?
Oh, boy. Well, I do a lot of clients, especially right now. It seems that a lot of clients are very anxious, very anxious and stressed. And what we work on is just helping them to be more relaxed and looking at more positive outcomes. So just saying, I am calm and relaxed all day long. So that if you feel yourself getting, you know, tense or excited, you just pause, take a breath and say, I am calm and relaxed all day long. I was running around crazy this morning doing errands, and I actually said that to myself because I get crazy just like everybody else.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay, take a big, deep breath. Oh, that's the other thing I give to my clients is an anchor, a way of anchoring in the feeling that they feel in hypnosis so that they can go back there whenever they want to. I have them pick a time or place where they felt really, really good, and then pick a word that describes that place, and then tell me about the emotion, the one word that describes the emotion. So, for example, beach could be a word. You have a special beach you love to go to. So when you say the word, you go to that beach in your mind. And then maybe it makes you feel calm. Maybe it gives you joy, you know, whatever that feeling is. So you just take a few moments and breathe, because what we used to do back in the cave to survive was stop breathing, right? Because if you were really quiet and didn't breathe really loud, the lions wouldn't get us. But now we really don't need to do that. But our bodies have that built-in mechanism of when you feel fear, you catch your breath, you stop breathing, And that is not good. You need to breathe. You need to deep breathe. You need to really focus. That's how you get past fear and stress, not
Anxiety. Hmm.
not tensing up, which, back in the day, that was great because that's how we survived.
Yep.
But thankfully, we don't need that anymore.
So relatable. It is. It's so relatable. Yeah. Before we wrap it up, Cinda, is there any, if you want to just take a few moments to give people some tips or things that you found that would be helpful for them, that'll be awesome.
Well, I would just suggest that they focus on things that are positive in their life and write them down. Every day, write down 3 or 4 things that you did or that happened to you that were positive, and make up your own affirmations. I'm happy to help you, but you can do that on your own. Just come up with, I am calm and relaxed. I am an excellent teacher. I am happy with my husband. Whatever it is that you want to have be in your life, make that into an affirmation. And then focus on that in the morning and at night and write it down at night. That's pretty much it, because it's all about changing what you're looking toward in your mind. I do offer a hypnotherapy Q&A every Wednesday morning at 10. If you want more information, just go to my website and register, and we can get on and talk about any questions you might have. I usually do a short hypnosis session, and happy to do that on Zoom. And if you want to talk about how hypnotherapy might help you, I am happy to set up a free session, just talking on the phone about how it might help you, free intake session. You can also book that on my website.
Awesome. So they can get information about your Wednesday session, right? They can make an appointment to get on your calendar to just have a free session. And they can also order your book through your website. Is that right?
Yeah. And all my clients get a copy of my book for free.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I got to check out your new book. I have the old one. I got to check out the new affirmations book. That's awesome.
I might be able to get you one.
Oh, thank you, Cinda. Thank you. Yeah. Cinda, before we wrap it up, I always like to ask our guests about their travel experiences, because life is very much like a travel journey. And, I'm so passionate about travel. So what is the one place that you've been to that was absolutely you would love to go back again to?
Can I have 2?
Anywhere.
Can I have 2?
Oh, yeah, you can have 2. You can have any number.
Well, when my parents took that group to England for the summer, basically, we were there for 6 weeks. One of the things we did was go up to Edinburgh. And I just thought that city was so beautiful. The people were so wonderful. I went into town with some of the other girls from the tour, and a gentleman helped us out, and it was just so nice and so wonderful. It was really, really great. And my son's been back there since, and he said everybody's still just so nice and so helpful. So I really would love to go back to Edinburgh. And then right before the pandemic, my whole family went to the island of Corfu for a few weeks, and we rented a house there. And that was just really a great way to travel. I'm sure you help clients do that all the time. But I just think it's such a wonderful way to see a country and get really immersed in the culture, and, going to the market every day, going, on the way home from town one day, we stopped and bought fish out of the back of a guy's truck, which, I never do here, but there it was just, that's what you do. And I just really loved being a part of the community. So I
Yeah.
would go back there. It was a fun city.
Well, that's awesome. What a great experience. 6 weeks in on your school trip. That was a that was really, you don't go for that long,
Well,
So
we did a summer school
summer
there
school
for
is there.
4 weeks,
Okay.
and then we traveled on the way back. We went up to Scotland and then over to Ireland, and then back down to London and over to Paris, and
Nice.
then came home. So it
Yeah.
was really nice.
Yeah. I also loved your second example that you gave because, to really get to know the people and the culture was really to be able to spend some time, and like
Yeah,
you said, in a home, right? Not just in a
yeah.
touristy place. And just, yeah, that would have been perfect. Yeah.
And it's always fun to rent a house because you never know exactly what's going to be. This house was very funny. It had Rococo furniture,
Uh-huh.
all Naugahyde,
Mm.
all like fake leather.
Uh-huh.
And you could hardly sit on it because you'd slide off. It was really so uncomfortable. But they actually said in their little booklet, that comes with the house, we understand that our furniture may not be your style, but it's ours. So okay.
That's funny. They're not the one who are going to be living in that. Yeah. Awesome. And I know this is a tough one too because I'm sure you have a lot of places. But give me a couple of places that you would like to visit sometime.
Oh, that I would like to go still?
Yeah.
Well, I would like to go to Ireland
Uh-huh.
because we were just there for like, a day. You
Yeah.
can't really see a country in a day. But
Right.
there I'd like to go and stay, in a home and, really experience it, or a B and b at least, and
Mm-hmm.
really experience it. Um, and then I'm all about seeing the USA. I mean, there's lots of places I haven't been yet. My husband and I are taking a road trip to Texas and then back through Colorado this fall. So that'll be fun.
Yeah. Yeah. There are plenty of places to see, in the domestic here in
Oh
the
yeah.
US. And,
Yeah.
and they're beautiful. I remember the first time I visited the national parks in Utah. I was blown away by the beauty there.
And
It's
where?
in Utah,
Oh right.
the Canyonlands, Zion and Bryce, and it's hadn't been there for a long, long time, so it was really beautiful. So I'm like you. There's still plenty to see around here.
I think we're going to stop at the Grand Canyon, although I heard they're having some problems there, but hopefully it'll all be fine by the time we get there.
Yeah, by the time you go there. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, thank you, Cinda. Thank you for being on the show. And once again,
Sure.
to our
Thank you, Shantha.
No, you're welcome. It was a great conversation with you. And just for everybody, connect with Cinda at cindaroffman.com. Get on her list and also, check her out and set up a free consultation. And definitely order the affirmation book. You'll find it really beneficial.
I
So,
do have a newsletter that comes out twice a month,
okay.
and we always try and do a little bit of hypnotherapy education and how it can help you. And
Okay.
just give
That's awesome.
everybody a little bit more information.
Yeah. And I take it they can sign up for the newsletter right on your website as well.
Yep.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Cinda. And thanks, everybody, for joining us. Do share, like, and comment on Cinda's episode and share it with your friends. She's given us a lot of great information, which I'm sure will be really helpful to a lot of us. Thank you. And we'll till next episode. Bye for now. And just in closing, just a little bit about our closing outro.